I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Yeah, I want to start off the show with a great comment in the YouTube chat there from Robbie Rad, who says, "Hey, I showed my wife the torpedo bat last night. She was not impressed." Robbie, that's a good one. I'm thoroughly impressed with that one, Robbie. Good job on you. Good morning to everyone that is tuning in to the Daily Puck Drop, whether you're watching it on Twitter /X, whatever you guys want to call it these days. Also on YouTube. We're always there every day. The Daily Puck Drop, 10 a.m. on both those platforms to watch. Now, if you'd like to listen to it live, I was just explained to a good friend today. Listen, the Puck Sports mobile app, by the way, is available for you to download. There it is right there. Look at that. I'll show it on the screen. That's the Puck Sports mobile app. You want to listen to the show live in your car? You're like, there's no options. Oh, there's options. You can listen to the show live on the old Puck Sports mobile app, even for your iOS or your Android phone. See, look at, I'm playing it right now. Look. You can listen to the show live. See there's a little delay, like a couple of seconds, but there you go. The Puck Sports mobile app. We're live for you right in the palm of your hand. Also, Apple CarPlay as well. Now, if you are the group that likes to watch and listen to it later, we always got you covered there. Every Daily Puck Drop, all the content is put up on our YouTube channel. Just search Puck Sports when you're there. Please subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. We try to get to as many of those as we possibly can. And if you're just an old school guy or gal who says, I just like to listen to the sweet Daily Puck Drop, well, Apple is your home. Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, doesn't matter, any podcast platform. And, of course, everything up, as always, at pucksports.com. When you're there at pucksports.com, top of the page will take you to the Pucks Posse page. You can sign up for just $5 a month. You can also, which, again, supports everything that we do here, the continuation of Puck Sports, all the free content we provide, but also all of the exclusive content as well. Like Ryan Divish, who will continue to do the show every single week, talking Mariners baseball. Despite him taking a sabbatical from the newspaper, he'll still be with us every single week. No, he's not leaving. He's just taking some time off to go coach his stepson's baseball team. And because they got a union, wouldn't it be nice to work for a union? There's some pros and cons of that one. They are able to take some time off, so that's what Divish is doing. But he'll be with us every Wednesday again throughout the baseball season, and we'll be back in August on the beat, covering the M's there for the Seattle Times. Also there, the Sports Pit, our new podcast that is released Sunday night for members and then comes out on Monday, usually for everyone else. The Sports Pit with former KJR alums Matt Stretch Johnson, Stephen Ernest Sandmeyer. They're available for Pucks Posse members. Oh, also, Dane Brugler, a countdown to the NFL Draft Series. We've just had some mix-up in schedules. We're still waiting to do record episode 3 there for Dane. Hopefully we get that taken care of early next week. And I promise, I'm getting this all out of the way, I promise that we're going to get you all the information. I'll have more on it later on our golf contest, Puck the Picker Majors Golf Pool. That will go live. Fingers crossed, just waiting for some information to be put up on the website. We should have that for you later today. All right, coming up on the show today, the rundown, Suck It Skubal. That's right. How about that, Skubal? Take that one. Mike Garafolo will join us here in about 5 or 6 minutes. Get the very latest what's going on in the NFL. Michael-Shawn Dugar. We talked to Dugar again, just getting the latest on the Seahawks offseason. It's kind of slowing down a little bit, but we'll continue to have Mike on throughout the NFL draft. Brad Adam of Root Sports, all brought to you by John Howie Steak. Brad Adam stops on by for his weekly visit. Caught up with Brad earlier today. We had to record him early, and I mean too early this morning, because he's jumping on a flight to leave to San Francisco to go cover the M's as they start a brief, short 3-game series there with the San Francisco Giants. We are broadcasting from the Limback Lumber Studios. Contractors, they got free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects. Largest stock moldings there in the Northwest. Old school service. kiddos because they've been doing it since 1930. Give Limback Lumber a call, 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbacklumber.com. And again, follow on all the social media platforms, Puck Sports on Twitter and Instagram, also on Blue Sky, video clips as well, up on TikTok if you like TikTok. Puck_sports. And, of course, you can find us on Facebook there as well at Puck Sports. Everyone checking in. Good morning to you, Jarrett. Antonio checking in from Pittsburgh. Antonio, do we make our home in Pittsburgh? Or are you just on there visiting? Or do you just have a work there? And good morning to Todd, who always checks in there on our morning YouTube chat. You can also chat there if you'd like. Go over to YouTube, Puck Sports, and chat away. All right, I was there last night at the game, or yesterday afternoon at the game, and it was just kind of, Jim and I were joking yesterday, this would be the game that they would win, and lo and behold, that's the game that they won. Of course they would beat Tarik Skubal, a guy that they probably have no business beating, but they got the job done. They were fortunate in that second inning because the second baseman made like a little league play where he didn't know where he wanted to go with the ball. But I also would credit a lot on that play with Dylan Moore hustling down to second base. I think it made it. It was kind of an awkward slide, but it made it kind of made him indecisive what to do there. And then J.P. Crawford, who's clearly struggling this season, hustling up the first baseline to get there and to be safe. That just opened up the floodgates. You see that all the time, where they get two quick outs, and then a mistake like that happens, and then boom, there you go. Victor Robles' first pitch on the changeup hits it to left center field, and away we go. Mariners do something they haven't done a lot this year, not at all, score early, and get a little bit of momentum, and they needed that. Is this going to kickstart them? We're all waiting for the game to kind of kickstart their offense and get it going, and just have some type of momentum. I thought it was going to be the other day, even in that loss with Emerson Hancock pitching, and that their offense looked a little bit better. I don't think this is anything where it's a momentum where it gets them going, because I think the way that they won the game is how they're going to probably win every game that they have this year. But it's also the same way they're going to lose every game like this. They're always going to be on the razor-thin edge margins every single game. And just, yesterday afternoon, it went in their favor. They had a mistake by second baseman that opened up the door for them, and they took advantage of it. And Tarik Skubal, for whatever reason, wasn't entirely 100% sharp. Dylan Moore with the opposite field home run there to right field. So it was a good sign there for Dylan Moore. Thought he also made a great play in the ninth inning on that little chopper back to him at third base to get the out at home on the force. Good for Mitch Garver to put his I think that was the second baseman again, wasn't it? I think it was, to put his mitt in the guy's face for going in hard like that, especially on the force. Just an idiot. I'm surprised. And we were sitting pretty close. I really did think Garver might have swung on him. Was close to doing. He was pissed off how hard he came in on him. And so I don't think it's going to be something they're going to carry over like, oh, if we look how we played and if we just continue to play this way, it's going to help us in the series against the Giants. They played Mariners baseball. For the most part, got a few, good timely hits, pitching solid. Castillo was great. I know Jim was going to always point out probably on Friday, well, he still gave up a home run. I don't care. He gave up a home run. He was fantastic. Got you 7 innings. Hey, Dan Wilson, that's what you call working deep into a game, by the way. Not 5 innings, in which you said the other day with Logan Gilbert. But he goes 7 innings, turns it over to Gabe Spire. And that's the thing watching the game yesterday, that when you start looking at this bullpen and how damn good it is, and with help on the way, positive news with Matt Brash, who appears to be back maybe late this month. He's on the road trip with the team. He did not travel with the Rainiers because of weather. And so he's with the team in San Francisco as they're flying out today. He's going to throw a bullpen session in front of the coaches. So Matt Brash is almost close to coming back. Troy Taylor made a rehab start, who was the flamethrower that they brought up last year. He made a rehab start with the Rainiers. He's touching 98, 99. So now coming for reinforcement, 2 guys who spin it up in the upper 90s, throwing gas with Munoz. Gabe Spire was freaking unhittable yesterday. So it's a good looking bullpen right now there for the Mariners. It's a scary looking bullpen, and that's just how they're going to have to continue to win with their bullpen, with their starters, and just hopefully get a hit or two there. The one funny thing I saw yesterday, just not Mariner related, well, a little Mariner related. Ketel Marte, 6 years, $116 million extension there with the D-backs. One of the finest trades, Jerry DiPoto. Thank you, Jerry. Ketel Marte, Taijuan Walker to Arizona for Mitch Haniger, who they just paid $17 million this year, and then they cut him loose. Also, Zach Curtis, and who else do they got? Oh, Mean Gene, the hitting machine, Gene Segura, who our next guest coming up, he knows Gene Segura. There's no one that likes Gene Segura. He can be popular than unpopular at the same time, but more unpopular than anything. All right, let's talk a little football, little national football, with our next guest who joins us every single week throughout the year to talk football. He's the one and only. He's the most handsome reporter in the business. I wanted to catch you eating because I could see you eating in the background. I wanted to get you with a mid-bite. Ladies and gentlemen from the NFL Network, fresh off what a terrible work assignment at the NFL GM owners meetings in West Palm Beach, Florida. Mm-hmm. It's Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network, brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance and Zogs on Fox Island. Boy, that must have been a rough assignment.
I'll eat through this whole damn interview. I don't care.
Can I say timeout here? Your pictures that you were sending were posted with your kids. You took the family down there. It looks like.
How'd you see them?
Because I'm on Instagram.
Are you one of my close friends?
Yeah. I thought we really had something here.
No, I'm just making sure I didn't accidentally post it.
No, yeah, I'm one.
I don't put the kids. I only put the kids for the close friends.
Yeah,
so.
I'm on the close friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And you got a little food on your bottom, little sandwich on the bottom left lip there. You know, this is a PG show. Next time you lick it like that, make sure it's on your OnlyFans account, okay?
Hey, listen, that could be my future.
Hey, OnlyFans wants to buy TikTok.
Why?
I don't know. Why not?
Will they turn it into an OnlyFans type deal, or
I don't know.
Do they just want to expand their business model?
Probably expand it. I think OnlyFans and Amazon are going to hope there. I don't know if they're going in it together or trying to separate bids to buy TikTok. Anyways, what I was going to say.
I know. Tough assignment. Yeah.
Tough assignment. But what a great looking family.
I was laying by the pool. Well, I'm sorry. What'd you say?
What a great looking family.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
I mean, those two girls.
They're a pain in the ass.
Goodness. Yeah, but geez, man.
They are a handful.
Yeah, but you know what? A good handful, right?
So they usually have the party for the media and all the teams out on the lawn. And, of course, it rained that night. That can happen in South Florida.
Sure.
So I had to move it like a little indoor-outdoor hybrid type deal. And just the Breakers was overrun by – I mean, it's funny because, like, the Breakers is a $1,500 a night hotel.
Okay.
And
Jesus.
To let in the likes of us, you know, and we're roaming – like – because we'll go there. My mother-in-law has a condo in South Palm Beach, and then we'll go to the Breakers for the day and hang out around there. And it's just like, oh, what a, you know, and it's not really uptight, which I like. It's not like it's foofy. It's still a little laid back, even though it's, you know, one of the highest priced hotels, if not the highest in the continental United States. And Then they let all of us in with our, you know, our credentials. And
do they put you up there? Is that where the NFL Network lets you stay?
We were in the Hilton in West Palm.
Okay.
It's called the Overflow Hotel. But I did book a night. So the girls, we go to the Breakers and like, can we stay at the Breakers, Dad? Can we stay at the? It's like, yeah, sure. It's coming out of your college fund, but yeah, we can stay at the Breakers. And so I said to my wife, you know what? Let's do it. So we did a combination of points and money, and
good for you.
You know, so we at least chopped it significantly out of our pocket. Now, it was a ton of points too that I wound up losing, but I said this is the time to do it though, because I didn't want them at the party. You know, my wife is big on bedtime. They got to go to bed. We got to get to the shuttle and get back to West Palm. You know, like just go upstairs.
Yeah. Dad's down here.
Yeah,
he's going to be wandering around the bar. Open tab. NFL Network. Thanks, Roger.
Yeah. So they were at the Breakers for one night and at the Hilton for 3 or 4, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I asked them yesterday, which hotel do you like better, girls? The Hilton.
Let me guess, because they had a great pancake or waffle bar in the morning or something. The breakfast.
No, they liked the pool area. That was big.
Pool. Okay.
And it was, I mean, the rooms are like, it's not like you go into the Breakers and there's a toilet made of gold. It's still just a hotel room.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice place to stay, but it's just ungodly expensive. It's just, I mean,
does anything get accomplished at these meetings? What did we accomplish this week?
On a league level, no. I mean, you hear there are high-ranking executives who are like, "Can we just do this over
like a Zoom?
Like, can we just do this that way?" And they did during COVID. And they're like, "We thought that was going to be the end of it." Because I mean, listen, it's a pretty penny, right? To fly everybody down there, to take over as many rooms in the hotel. The party itself, I was trying to figure it out. It's bigger than a wedding, and to have a wedding there is a couple $100,000. So you have to figure it was close to $1 million for the party alone, right? I mean, so they're still doing it. We're still going. It's a nice little break, I guess, from things. Next year, the kids are not coming. It's in Arizona. Just my wife and I.
Clubs? Bring the clubs?
I very well may next year, yes.
Should. Set you up with some great courses.
The torture of it is the Breakers course looks like a carpet, right? Like it just looks like not even real, the grass. Yeah. And the palm trees instead of the oaks or whatever, so it's nice to be I prefer to hit around one of those, not because they're skinny, but also because they're good to look at. And it's right there the whole time. It's just right there. It's,
screaming for you, calling you.
I'm doing an interview and a guy is teeing off right there. I'm like, so
it needs you, and you need.
And I could have played there because I was staying there the one night. You got to play there. You got to get a tee time or stay there.
So the big thing was like the tush push, right? They table it, and then when does this get brought up again to try and outlaw a play that the Packers can't stop?
May in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Will they ban it then?
Yes, probably. They'll probably ban all pushing and pulling anywhere on the field.
Okay.
Because I remember covering. I mean, I was covering the Giants, and I wasn't like really focused on league matters because you're just locked into one team that you're covering. And somebody pushed somebody's back in 06, 07, something like that. And I said, you can't do that. That's illegal. And they go, no. That rule's gone. I remember it from a kid. When I was a kid, I was watching the Eagles growing up, and there was a play where one of the offensive linemen pushed the running back to get him in the end zone. Yeah. Threw the flag. Can't do that. And at some point they changed it. It's funny because in conversations down there, I heard that they were like, why did we allow this again? Like, why did we change? They couldn't even remember why. And then somebody at some point said, it's because we thought that it was too difficult for the officials to officiate it down the field. Right. Which I don't understand, but okay. I mean, there obviously was a reason. So they're like, well, maybe we'll just go back to that. Because if you do that, because then it was, and this was part of the conversation in the meeting, if a guy lines up behind the quarterback, and as written, the rule is immediately. Well, what constitutes immediately? If he waits a beat and then does it, and then what happens if you say, well, you can't do that? Okay, and somebody said, what if I push the offensive lineman and help get a push that way? And it was like, oh boy, what about the defense? So it was, if you just go back to you can't push or pull your own guys, then you outlaw that and all that stuff. Now, you mentioned that the reason for it is the Packers couldn't stop it. I think that was a big reason for a lot of teams. I think a lot of them didn't like how it looked, that it doesn't look like a football play. Yeah. But those who were opposed to it clearly had a goal of making it a health and safety issue, even if the data doesn't support that. Because now they said, well, it could be a catastrophic injury on that play. If they don't now vote to get rid of it, and then there is, knock on wood, a catastrophic injury. Well, now, hey, you guys said this could cause, and you didn't it's a liability thing now. All of a sudden, it could pop up. So, you know how they think about these liabilities. So I think once they presented it as a health and safety issue and really got support in that regard, I said this play's in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, listen, aesthetically, I don't like it. I think really it hit kind of a new low during the Super Bowl when you're just – was it the Super Bowl? No, what was it? When was it? Was it – no, it was a playoff game. Was it Frankie Louvu? Who kept getting the penalty, right?
NFC Championship game.
Yeah. And it didn't look good. And it was just like, okay, enough. But at the same time, I'm not in favor of banning something because one particular team just does it better than everybody else. They do. They put some research into it. They practiced it. They have a strategy with it, and it works. And other teams don't do it as well as they do. Now that you mention,
I want to add something there because asking defensive coaches down there about it, and why can't everybody be as good at it? It said because it's one, the commitment to it, two, the time that they've repped it, and it's not just the execution. There's also a timing aspect. Mm-hmm. They'll come up to the line, boom, snap it before. Sometimes it's quick tempo, sometimes it's slower tempo. So they've done a good job with the tempo there. Jordan Mailata, the left tackle, is also a big reason for it. He gets a good push on the left side. Michael Robinson, my colleague at NFL Network, the former Seahawk fullback, has mentioned to me, watch how many times Jalen Hurts falls to his left after he gets into that pile. Okay. Mailata is a big key. So, one of the coaches said, well, 1 week, all of a sudden, the team that hadn't run it before tried to run it against us, and we stopped them. And it was an ugly execution because you can't just say, like, oh, we're going to run it this week and we'll copy them. Mm-hmm. They've gotten to a certain level with it. So I think that's a huge part of it. And that's being masked as health and safety by a lot.
Yeah. But now that you, though, present it, or they're presenting it as, hey, we're going to ban the tush push, but we're also going to ban, hey, the running back is running, gets stopped, walled, and then now the lineman go push him in the back. I'm all for that because the one thing I don't like about that is we allow the running back who gets walled off and then the lineman, and we want to talk about health and safety. Tell me how the health and safety of a 6'5", 320-pound lineman just barreling into the back of his running back is good for the running back. He's going to break his back in half. And then pushing the pile an extra 5 or 6 yards. I always thought, wait a minute, we allow that. But if a defense stonewalls a running back and drives him back 6 yards, no. It's where this momentum was stopped.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, when that doesn't make any sense. Allow the defense to drive him 10 yards back.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's all going to be under that umbrella, and so you'll be pleased with that, and maybe you won't be pleased that the tush push is gone.
No, I don't really. I mean, it's fine. It doesn't bother me. I just think that how the Packers and other teams brought it up is just kind of, come on, man.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, knowing Nick Sirianni, he'll find something new to run. And it'll be a point of motivation for them. Like, look, this is how good we are. They have to change the rules to stop us. So that'll be, it's going to be fuel to their fire as they get after this title defense. And
then what are we doing with overtime now? Now we're going to change overtime. It's going to be the playoff overtime is now going to be the regular season overtime. But what's the difference? Is there a small difference?
Both teams are going to get a guaranteed possession. In a 10-minute overtime. Now, the only time that a team would not get a guaranteed possession is if the one team takes up all 10 minutes. So your goal is going to be to score, and it's also going to be to score slowly. Even if you don't, if you bleed 8.5 and you leave them a minute, they got to go 2 minutes the rest of the way. You know what I mean? So there's going to be a strategy to how you score in overtime. And how you manage the clock. And you heard of the 4-minute offense. We're now going to hear the 10-minute offense.
10-minute offense. Be a big goal. Okay. What the kickoff thing? Can't we just go back to the normal kickoff? I'm reading it this week, and it's so confusing, all of it, and what they want to do is more confusing. Can we just have normal kickoffs back? Can you make that happen for me?
No. I actually think they've done. I actually think the kickoff modifications, they've done a nice job with them. I really do.
You like it? You really do?
Well, it's you cannot go back to 40-yard running head start, dude catching the blocker that way. Yeah. Or I'm sorry, being the blocker, catching the coverage guy that way.
Yeah, we can. That's fun.
Well, that's a liability. We talked about liability. That's liability.
But isn't the whole sport's a liability then?
Right, which is why they're saying now the injury rate on the new kickoff is in line with the injury rate on a regular play from scrimmage, whereas previously there were devastating injuries because of that run up there. So knowing that we're never going back to that, pretend it never existed.
All right.
Based on that, because I was reminiscing about this with Bob Papa, Giants play-by-play guy, last night on his Manja cast. He calls it the Manja cast. Yeah, it's two Italian guys, and they eat while they're on, and they show you how to cook a dish.
He does a great job, by the way. I think he still does the Westwood One coverage on the Masters, and he's phenomenal.
Yeah, he does.
Phenomenal at it.
He is. But I'm in the car sometimes listening to him. What am I doing?
What? Listening to golf on? I love golf on the radio.
You love golf on the radio?
I love it. I love it because that's what I want to do.
What?
He's got about a 15-foot putt. It's going to break left to right.
You can do that on TV.
I know, but it sounds better. Pulls the blade back, hits it. It's on its way. It's turning, and it's in. He has birdied 16 at the Masters. I just love it.
Yeah, but you have no perspective for how good. I mean, listen, you could say that with any sport, really.
Sure.
Right? You're basically watching a sport as a blind person, right? Like you just don't have you just.
You're lost.
Golf is it just seems so like 4x crazy to listen to golf.
I know.
And I'm not advocating that when you're in your car watching it on your phone while you're driving. Obviously, that's what
you're doing, though. I know that. You just exposed yourself. All right. So you and Papa, what were you guys talking about?
I have no idea. Oh, Adrian Awasam was a defensive end for the Giants back in the early Tom Coughlin era. And I remember interviewing him because he suffered a season-ending serious neck injury on the kickoff. And I in that story, I also quoted John Mara talking to him about like the modifications, some of which we've seen. Move the football, move the setup team, all this stuff. And that was, almost 20 years ago. So it's taken this long and it's going to take longer to really kind of fine-tune it. And then I remember a couple of years later, because John was an advocate of we've got to make the kickoff safer, if not take it out of the game completely. A couple of years later, they won a game. The Giants did because of their kick returns. David Wilson had like 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown and like 300 yards return yards that game. And I remember talking to John saying, I know you want to make the game safer, but this play is still an exciting, important play that just won you a game. And he said, I know, but we got to make it safer. So, knowing all the time that's gone into it, and the fact that there is, there was thought at one point, they're just going to spot the ball and get rid of the kickoff. They've gotten away from that. Now, just to be clear, the changes, the biggest change is moving the touchback from the 30 to the 35 once you get the ball there, which is really only, one first down away from being in scoring range. The way these kickers can kick, you get a 15-yard pass on the first play, and all of a sudden you're at midfield. So that seems, that was kind of staggering, but. Yeah. The problem is on a return, the average return, start of the drive for a team that returns the ball is 28.8. So if the touchback is at the 30, the team's saying, all right, well, for another yard and a half or 1.2 yards, we take away the possibility of a big return, if not a touchdown return. Yeah, that's a good gamble. Boot it into the end zone. Well, now it's 6.2. So that changes it a little bit more, and they're looking for the analytics, of the whole situation.
When is the Rodgers drama with the Steelers going to be over?
I thought it'd be over by now.
Is it just him wanting to drag this out?
I'm sure he's got a reason.
Well, what's the reason? Like what? Just to have his name in the media?
That could be the reason. I don't know. That could be the reason, right? Or it could be that maybe he's. Look, the one thing that's kind of been kicked around is retirement, right? Like maybe it's like, maybe I just don't want to do this anymore. Had a tough season last year, banged up, thought about retiring when he did the darkness retreat a couple of years ago, right? Yep. So if that was at least part of the consideration here, I don't, and that's probably the way it's going to be. Like when he comes back, you have Cam Hayward saying, well, either you want to be a Steeler or you don't, making it sound like, if this guy doesn't choose soon, we're not going to want him or whatever. He's got to at least spin it that way and say, no, it wasn't about the Steelers and another team. It was about, where I am in my career and do I want to keep doing this? And I took some time, and yes, I still have that passion. I still have that fire. Say something like that. Obviously it comes off a different way. So my hunch is that once it's done, if it's done, that'll be the and it may be real.
Hey, with the draft like 3 weeks away, any rumblings, any good juicy trade day rumors heating up at all? Or do you think it will be pretty quiet on that day?
No, I think it's going to be fun. I'm seeing, my buddy just sent me a thing that said, Shador Sanders, the over-under is 8.5. I was like, wow, really? Ooh. Really? Shouldn't it be, well, the Giants 3.5? Like, are the Giants going to take them or not take them, right? Like, what, beyond that? Like,
well, I think the Giants should, because they don't have enough quarterbacks.
What's that?
They should take him. They don't have enough quarterbacks. They should take another one.
Can you imagine? And I saw the clip of Dion saying the pregame prayer there. It's like you're going to be baptized with the two of those guys, with Russ and Jameis there. I was hoping for Rodgers to go, you know what? I think I'll come there and play on the veteran minimum just to have the four of them. And I
all
include
of
Tommy DeVito.
God, that'd be great.
Just put the cameras in there. Hard Knocks, Giants, quarterbacks. Forget everybody else.
Are you going to do the same thing? You're just sitting in L.A.?
I'll be in L.A. again this year hosting our show, which is on from 10 to 1, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Wednesday and Thursday. And then on Thursday and Friday. Yeah. And then on Saturday morning, we'll have the show leading up to the coverage as well.
Brock Purdy's deal. What is it looking like? Is it getting closer?
No.
No.
Jed York said we're close.
Yeah.
Close is relative. I think it's going to take some time. I had mentioned this. If you're and Jed said when I interviewed him at the league meeting, they halfway through the season last year, whenever their bye week was, they had the big picture conversations, and they said, "Okay, are we committed to committing to Brock?" And everybody's like, "Yep, on board. This is our guy." Once you do that, you've pretty much and I know you may say, "Well, Geno Smith wasn't at that level." Geno is a little different, right? Obviously, but once you've got a guy that you drafted, and they did draft him just barely, but they drafted him. And you commit to him as your franchise quarterback, you know what the price range is, or at least you should. And I mentioned this on air. The quarterback deals for those guys, the first extension quarterback deals. So anybody from Trevor Lawrence to Joe Burrow, you can even throw Dak Prescott in there, even though it's not his first deal, but Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, all these guys. The percentage of the salary cap that they got on an average per year basis was anywhere from like 20%, 20 and change, up to like 25. I think Burrow took the biggest chunk at 25. Let's go on the low end. Okay? The low end, 20%. That's still bigger than Joe Burrow's deal, Trevor Lawrence's deal, the guys that are at 55. He'd be at like 57. That's the low end. If he wanted to push the high end, he'd be above Dak Prescott in the 60s.
Yeah.
But I don't get the sense that he's pushing for that, and he wants to give the 49ers some flexibility roster-wise going forward, but also getting a fair deal. I don't know how you could say, well, he shouldn't be in the 50s. I just made it clear.
It just sounds like he's going to be. He just sounds like he will be.
He should be.
Yeah, whether everybody believes that or not. It's just, I think you just look at him, and I just think it doesn't matter what he does. He's never going to convince the rest of the league that he's one of those top flight quarterbacks. He'll never do it.
Because of where he was drafted.
Yeah, where he's drafted and what he looks like.
And
he doesn't look like a guy who makes that much money.
Right. But he's a Super Bowl quarterback.
Yeah.
He's a Super Bowl. He took a team to the Super Bowl. He had a comeback against the Lions in the NFC Championship.
Hey, I like him, man. I
he's
think
not just a dead fish out there. He's not just a Trent Dilfer who won the Super Bowl. He's doing this.
Hey, Dilfer's got to get stray arrows. I love it. All right. Thank you, sir. We'll continue to talk to you every week. Enjoy the rest of your lunch. Enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
I will, my friend. Thank you very much.
All right. See you, Mike. There he is. Mike Garafolo, NFL Network. Joins us every week. Brought to you again by Hartley and Hartley Insurance. Just as we get into the offseason, the segments will be a little shorter there with Mike. Again, Hartley and Hartley Insurance, your trusted family-owned insurance experts in the Puget Sound area since 1978. They've got honesty. They've got fairness. They've got integrity. And that's why they've got Jamie Hartley. Give them a call at 253-565-8700. Plus, Zogs on Fox Island. Great place to grab a beer, hang out with friends, watch the M's game, watch March Madness, watch the Final Four coming up on Saturday. Check out Zogs on Facebook and Instagram for their new hours and event times. Big thanks to Mike Garafolo for joining us. Full episode up on YouTube later. Also, of course, part of the Daily Puck Drop, which is up on all your podcast platforms and, of course, up on YouTube. All right, let's talk some more football as we do on Thursdays and more from the Seahawks perspective. It's our visit with Michael-Shawn Dugar. But first, a word from our sponsor, Georgetown Brewery.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
That's how we describe Dugar, cheap and local. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic. It's been a couple weeks since we've talked to Mike with schedules and all. So, Mike, how are you doing? Have you changed at all? Are you good?
No, I'm okay. Still cheap and local, I guess. If I was before, I still am. I'm doing good. Just trying to enjoy a little break in the off season before things get real busy on draft weekend.
Yeah, the draft weekend is almost upon us. Yeah, you kind of hit a little bit of a dead period here right now before the draft heats up. But I'm going to ask you kind of the same question I asked Garafolo. What do you think day one or even the first 2 days of the draft are going to be like? Do you sense Seattle being very active or kind of staying put with where they're at right now?
Yeah, I think they're more likely to be active probably than teams that are at the top of the draft and like the trade back world. Because it just sounds like this is one of those years where having a high pick is not like super great, particularly if you need a quarterback. So you may see teams that have, the guy that goes 15th, a team might have had him on their board at like 38. And everything is comparable in that same range. So you might see some guys like, hey, let's go up to get this dude, whereas the Seahawks may be like, all right, well, we're really stingy with our first round picks. I wouldn't be surprised if this year John has like 7 first-round grades on prospects, which is a really low number. I think the most he said he's ever had is like 18 or something in that range. So he's pretty stingy in that regard. So it wouldn't surprise me if they try to take advantage of that at 18, because it's far more likely that they don't have someone available at 18 who they do have a first-round grade on. So that's when they can try to get busy in the trade market. I see them real busy maybe in that range and ending up with a haul like 2017. I think they ended up with like 6 or something picks in the first 110. Ended up with a haul. Most of those guys didn't pan out. But in terms of activity, I could see something similar coming out of the first couple days.
Can you get a sense coming out of just the meetings at all which way that they would be leaning in the draft or not? Is that just kind of the week of, hey, smoke and mirrors? We're trying to trick everyone what we're going to do.
I don't think they know. I don't think they know yet. Because of what I was mentioning about the grades. Like I say, you got 8 first-round grades on guys. At 18, you're probably screwed, right? But who else is willing to come up if that's the case? And if they do come up, like how far back are you willing to go? And then what do you do there? They had the 18th pick before in 2018, actually, traded back with Green Bay, went back to 27, but then took Rashad Penny, which obviously didn't turn out to be like super great. So no, I think that, and this is also something I'm probably going to write about this week or maybe early next week, because my editor is on vacay, is this draft, the Seahawks genuinely feel, and I could see it to an extent, they could just do whatever. Like they don't need to chase a need. I genuinely feel that that's how they're looking at this, whether it's their first pick 50, pick 52, pick 82, 92, whatever. They generally feel that the roster is in good enough shape, on top of the guys who are on expiring contracts, because that's what this is about too. They can go anywhere. I was going through some like mocks just last night. I could justify legitimately pretty much any selection on with the first 5 picks, with the exception maybe of left tackle, if I plan on picking up Charles's option. Because after that, you got a bunch of guys on deals that the Seahawks can get out of or that are going to expire by March of 2026. So yeah, you may not feel like, oh, they don't need an edge rusher. Well, you look at it, man, DeMarcus Lawrence is basically on a 1-year deal. Chenna's got injury concerns. Maffe's on an expiring deal. Boom, I can justify taking an edge rusher because by 2026, I'll need him to start. You can kind of do that math with damn near every position outside of maybe inside linebacker. But even then, Ernest's deal is one that if they really needed to get out of it this time next year, it's a 1-year, $10 million deal.
Quarterback's the same thing too.
Yep, it'd be a 1-year, $37 million deal for Darnold, which sounds a little bit high on a 1 year, but that's less than the franchise tag, which I believe is $40 million. So every deal basically they can get out of outside of, Puck, we could do it right now. How many guys you think are guaranteed to be on the team? Or starters right now that are guaranteed to be on the team in 2026? It's only a handful.
Yeah.
It's only a handful.
So you don't think, and they kind of, I think it was Macdonald, they kind of alluded to this. They're not going to be, their philosophy, and I think he talked about, I think it was in your piece actually, that if you go and chase for a need, he said, I've learned in the past you can make a mistake by doing that. rather than chase a need that the philosophy for him and others is just take the best player available. And everyone kind of talks about that. I mean, they're not unique in that opinion. I mean, they clearly need there's a need in the interior offensive line, but it doesn't sound like that they will chase that in the first part of the draft, maybe in the first few rounds, if they don't feel that the players there are good enough, that they'll take I'm just spitballing here. If they grade a wide receiver at 18 higher than they grade any offensive lineman, they take a wide receiver there.
Yeah, and that's another position where you could say, well, they have Marquez Valdez-Scantling, they have Cooper Kupp, they have Jackson Smith and Jigba, but essentially they can get out of Kupp's deal after this year. I think it would be a very minimal, like a $16 million, I think, or something like that is what it turns into, like a 1 year 16 if they were to get rid of him. Marquez is only on a 1 year. So that basically leaves Jackson as the only guy you can say for sure will be on the roster in 2026. So you can justify a receiver pick in the first round. You can go down the line and do that. And so I haven't looked at the Ravens draft history since Mike Macdonald said that at the owners' meetings that he's been burned chasing need. I'd have to go really look and see where I could find that. But you can see plenty of instances where the Seahawks have chased a need on guys they maybe thought were better, and it's burned them. I think the most notable one was probably LJ Collier. He was probably the highest defensive edge they had on the board. And because they had just traded Frank like a few days before, you can tell that was probably let's push him up the board because we don't have an edge rusher, knowing that he probably wasn't the highest graded prospect. Actually, I'm pretty sure he was not the most highly graded prospect on their board at the time.
I'm just thinking about the 21 draft, which a lot of Seahawks fans love to point to the 21 draft. I think it's the 21. Somebody can fact check me on this one. It's the draft they took D. Eskridge. And then, of course,
that's the 2021 class, yes.
And it's 10 picks later, Creed Humphrey goes, right? And they needed, obviously, there was a need for them at center. They don't get it. And then he's an all-pro, and I don't know where D. Eskridge is. He's probably out of football by now. And I wonder from their perspective how they thought about it. Was he the best player on their board, and they elected not to go to maybe a Creed Humphrey just because of the thought process of, well, we don't want to elevate him because he's not the best player rated on our board? Or was it, hey, D. Eskridge fits a need for us, and we're going to overvalue him here with this pick?
That was probably a little bit of both. But that draft, which I was also looking at last night, gets into, all right, cool, like you said, Puck, they're not the only team thinking let's take the best player available. But do we trust that they know who that is? No, seriously.
I know, I'm with you.
That's what it comes down to.
Sure.
You know, like let's say that 2021 class, they say, hey, we think D is the best player available. Yeah. Well, that would be a very bad eval, like independent of chasing the need or whatever, which I do. I agreed with it at the time, and I still do. Taking a wide receiver 3 at the time was fine. D taking him was fine. I thought they should have took Amon-Ra St. Brown in that same class, and it would have worked out just fine. Nobody would have cared if they had passed on Creed, if they'd have took the Sun God, right? But that's where I'm kind of at with the draft now. It's like, okay, cool. You're telling me, Mike Macdonald, John Schneider, you are going to take the best player available. And in John's case in particular, do I trust that you know who that's going to be when you're on the clock?
And I want to be fair with this, because I can recall what we talked about, the 3 years ago during the draft. This wasn't like, maybe this was for some people. I'm not sitting there going, hey, with that pick, they needed to take Creed Humphrey. This is the obvious pick. I mean, yeah, it's revisionist history to go back and look at where the careers are. But I do remember with the selection of Eskridge thinking, is that a need? That there was a need like this year's draft with help on the offensive line. And because there's been a need, especially at center since Max Unger left. Mm-hmm. And thinking, God, that's just, Eskridge, nice player. We get it, but seems redundant. So
there were people, Puck, that at the time I remember when we got feedback on our Seahawks Man to Man podcast that they were like, yeah, we should have took Creed Humphrey, real time, same weekend. It was some people. I wasn't, I'm not gonna act like I was watching a bunch of Creed tape.
Sure,
going into that.
Clear, yeah.
But there were people I'm going to get, because you'll probably get some comments like that too. Now there are people tweeting me and Chris and hitting us on the pod like, hey, why do we need another receiver? We needed a lineman. Why don't we take Creed Humphrey, and they were right. That aged super well for those people.
And and so I think that the worry is here is how they have evaluated this offseason for them and how they're now going into the draft. And I know we've talked about this a lot before, but to me, that this philosophy of Schneider, there's a very Jerry DiPoto Mariners vibe to it, which is scary to me. And it's scary to me. It's, no, we like the guys we have. Maybe you guys don't think they're good, but we think they're good. And listen, maybe he'll be right. Maybe Christian Haynes needs a new coach to coach him up, and Olawatimi and some of these other guys, and they'll turn him around. But boy, Mike, that's a huge gamble. It's a huge gamble that's your offseason plans, that this new staff that's going to come in is somehow going to make those guys better.
Well, not only is it a huge gamble, it's quite literally the same exact gamble as last year when you fire Pete. You say, well, we just need better coaching, so we're going to get a new coach. And you don't make the playoffs again. You get worse on offense. You do turn the defense around, which I would expect when you hire a defensive-minded guy. And then now you're right back a year later saying, well, we just need better coaching. It's like, how many times are we just going to keep putting the burden on the coaching? It's a collaboration. It's the get good players, coach them up. Eventually we got to look at the get good players part. I think that's where it's a gamble, but it's also repetitive. It's asking for quite a bit of benefit of the doubt on the roster acquisition. I think me and you have talked about this before, Puck. I am fascinated by how often John Schneider gets opportunities to clean up messes he created. It's like he said early in the offseason that the offensive line was the biggest deficiency, and he's basically saying, hey, I like the guys we have. Trust the process. We'll figure it out. But I would even have stopped him. I think it was during a radio interview. I would have stopped him and said, okay, how did it become your biggest deficiency? Who built the line that is, by your own admission, deficient? And if that was you, how do I trust you to fix that? Because it's not like this is year 1 or year 2 of it being deficient either. That's kind of where I'm at, because the process that John outlines and that Mike Macdonald outlines, is even some of the philosophy on paper, it all makes sense. If you're not talking about a front office that's been here for 16 years or 15 years or whatever, that's a long time of having very similar deficiencies. Process be damned. You eventually need results if you want to win games.
And it's not like he's been void of, I don't want to make it seem like he's never not drafted, good offensive linemen. I mean, there are examples. Now there's not a ton. I mean, listen, Max Unger was the year before him, so they don't get credit for that one. But Russell Okung, and I know he battled some injuries late, but I thought Russell Okung was a fine draft pick. I mean, I don't know how you would evaluate Russell Okung, but I thought he was good enough. I think the early returns, I think Cross has been good. I think Lucas, when he's been healthy, has been good. But God, I mean, after that, who else am I missing?
So you named already the only Pro Bowl lineman.
That would be Okung.
Yeah, so there's that. And you're now missing the only player to sign a second-year deal with the Seahawks is Justin Britt. And that was after he moved from tackle to guard to center. So yeah, this is where John he's in trouble, because John's highly regarded around the league. It's crazy when I talk to GMs, coaches, scouts, whatever. Like the way the Seahawks do business is like generally like lauded down the league. And if you look at it, John has some pretty strong track records with certain positions. He's done well with DBs. He's done well with receivers. Mm-hmm. If you were to give him if you were like, oh, we got rid of DK, but I trust John to get us some good wideouts, I can actually hear you out on that, because that's probably the position he's drafted the best. Like you mentioned, Charles and Okung. That's over a decade of like pretty competent left tackle play on top of the acquisition of Dwayne Brown. However, the Dwayne Brown acquisition is another example of cleaning up a mess. You needed Dwayne because you just thought you could trot out a former power forward at Western Kentucky to play left tackle, and quickly realized maybe that wasn't a good idea. So it's like that. I think the Dwayne move kind of cancels out the years of George playing. But either way, like left tackle, he's kind of scouted really well. But the other, quite literally, his other biggest deficiencies are the trenches. Yeah. And then when that's your biggest deficiency, you're going to get a team that's just consistently not enough. It could be good, but it's not enough. And that, again, it goes back to the benefit of the doubt. John can say, yeah, we got to win up front. We got to be great up front when on the line of scrimmage, get off the ball on defense, get off the ball on offense. None of that sounds dumb. It's like, okay, do I trust you to go do it? Put it in application. And eventually, like I said, you have to get it right, and then that's eluded John and those guys, particularly in the trenches. And you can tell by how many guys they've drafted on the O-line or D-line that have made the Pro Bowl in 15 years.
Do you think hope is lost, though, for guys? Do you understand? Is there a small part of you that understands maybe a little bit of their thinking, that they think that the jury's not out yet on Oluwatimi and Haynes?
Yeah, I think that there's a world where Oluwatimi is a decent center, probably whatever Ethan Posick is currently, which is fine. Like, Ethan's a starting center in the NFL. He's not like super bad or super great. He's like a starting center. That's fine. Christian Haynes can probably be like a decent guard, maybe a tier below Damian Lewis, who I thought was really good, and that they should have tried to keep. But yeah, it's just hard when that's like the best you could probably do is like just get guys who are okay. You know, when the teams that we see make these deep runs in the playoffs, it's because most of the time, and the NFC in particular, their lines are loaded. You look at what the Eagles have done. You look at what the Lions have done while they're so good. Even the Niners have had some issues here and there, but generally their lines have been very good, particularly in the playoffs, which is why they make those NFC championship runs. So you're going to have to get there. You're going to have to get there at some point. It's like, how long do we wait for you to figure that out? And how many more times they're just going to blame a new coach? Oh, well, maybe Kubiak's going to fix it. Well, he doesn't fix it. Now you can just put it on him. You know, I just feel like the coaches are already getting set up to be scapegoated each year, and that they're one half of the people charged with putting the championship caliber product on the field.
Yeah, because I mean, like all the offensive line guys they've hired. I mean, who knows what they think about these guys? they may look at Oluwatimi and Haynes and go, "Yeah, we can't really win with this, but we'll try to put the lipstick on the pig." I mean, I mean, we would be millionaires if we could figure out that this is the one thing that has just eluded him as a president and GM, is just really fixing the interior group of this offensive line. Is there anything, just to circle back to the first round of the draft, is there any position group that would surprise you at 18?
Yeah, let's assume that they've already picked up Charles Cross's fifth-year option. I think the deadline for that is May 1st. That's before the draft, or that's after the draft, excuse me. Let's just assume that they're just going to do that. So left tackle in that regard would be a surprise for me, because then you would have him under contract for 2 years. He's only 24. He doesn't have injury concerns. Like that would seem like overlap. That would seem like too much of a commitment to best player available, if that makes sense, you know, because you do want your first round pick to be able to play within a year at least. And this guy, in theory, would not at all, unless he's just better than Cross. But then if that's the case, then what do you do with Charles, right? So that would be one. And the other would probably be running back. Ken Walker is on an expiring deal, but you have Zach Charbonnet under contract for 2 years. You have Kenny McIntosh under contract for 2 years still. And you just don't need any more running backs. I think the running backs they have are good. I don't think there's huge durability concerns with anyone, Ken included, really. So those two would probably surprise me. Anything else? Oh, one more. Center. I would just say center because John told us that the class stinks.
The class is terrible.
Yeah.
The class.
Yeah.
Well, but that also could be a bunch. And I think a lot of people agree with that. But I also wonder if like he has his eyes on someone and wants to say that to kind of, I don't know, draw attention away from the group. But it's also an opinion that's shared by a lot of people.
Yeah, and I don't think John is a very good liar. At least when I talk to him, he seems like a very bad liar. At the combine, I asked him if they were going to have Tyler if he anticipated having Tyler on the team, and he asked him like, he seemed like a guy who, had 10 beers and you pull him over and it's like, hey man, you have been drinking today? And he just froze up, and you could tell he was lying. And before he started his press conference after the Geno trade, he looked at me and was like, hey man, no more direct questions. Last time I had to lie to you, so like I can tell when he's lying. He made reference to that same exchange too. So when he said, I bring that up to say, when he said the center thing, that felt pretty genuine. Like, nah, these centers are not all that. So yeah, I wouldn't imagine them taking one in the first round.
Not in the first round, but you're not shocked at all if they take a running back. See, because I think they're gonna, and because I'm curious what they think about Walker. I don't think they're convinced that he's the guy. I mean, it's injuries or just whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not. If they want to play a different style of football or go back to that style of football, you can always have as many running backs as you possibly can. And with this class being as deep as it is, I wouldn't be surprised if they took one particular early. I agree with you. I don't think it's gonna be the first round, but
I think that would feel like getting greedy on the part of. I think the coaching staff would perceive that as a mistake. I'm taking one highly. I think I can't speak to how John views Ken. I necessarily have never asked or have never heard a soundbite that would lead me to lean one way or the other. But the coaching staff, I feel very confident telling you that they are high on all the backs, Ken included. Some people have asked me, how do I think Ken will look in this scheme? I tell people Ken is scheme proof. He is scheme proof. He can run gap. He can run zone. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Ken can be a top 10 running back. Yeah. Even if he never caught a pass, he would be great in this scheme because he's great in any scheme because he can cut, he can run, he's powerful, he can jump, he has breakaway speed. He's like whatever the tier below Saquon is, maybe that Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs tier of like, you can do everything. Like he's not like super huge, but zone scheme, gap scheme, I don't really care. Like Ken can do whatever. And I think the coaching staff agrees with my assessment there. And I think they would echo the same thing on the record, off the record, that they believe Ken is the guy, which is why it would surprise me, short of Ashton Genty being there. The first round, they wouldn't do it. Yeah. And I don't even think they would do it in the first 2 rounds, honestly. I think that's something that John has maybe learned a little bit on. It's like, dude, you got to change what your threshold is for taking a running back in the second round. Like Ken, it makes sense because he got the home run speed. But if you're not getting home run speed, you can, whatever that guy does well, you can probably get a little bit later.
In one of the pieces that you just wrote that's up there right now, Mike Macdonald, and again, I would say I think every GM every head coach would say the same thing, and his mentality of it is correct. If you go into a season thinking you can't win it all or have a chance, then it's kind of, I mean, honestly, even if you're a team that's terrible, it's kind of a loser mentality, really. You're expecting to lose. I think the mentality of every offseason going into a new season should be the expectation to win. He said it. I believe he believes it. They can win a Super Bowl. Answer that question. You think they can?
No, I don't think so. But I agree that should be the mindset. The reason I asked Mike Macdonald that I wanted it on record, really, just so everyone could know. It sounds like obvious, but sometimes it is just nice to hear the coach say it because then you can hold him accountable in that regard. Same thing with the GM. If you say it, then everything you do, I'm assessing based on your own expectations, not mine. Because what I think they should do each year, the fans, it doesn't matter. You guys are building, you're making all these moves and all these decisions based on that goal. So I'm going to frame, makes it easier to frame it that way. And no, I don't think so. I think they're going to have some issues up front. I don't think they'll be as bad last year up front on either side of the ball. But I do think they're going to have some issues, particularly when they just run into teams who can go win a Super Bowl. Even on defense, we haven't talked much about that unit because it was pretty good last year. But for good as it was, they give up like 57 points in those Packers and Green Bay games that mattered, games that were at home, like with their season that on the line, but like hanging in the balance, so to speak. And they just laid an egg. Now the offense did too, but so did the defense. They were not like the steel curtain in those. Yeah,
that's why we always talked about that last year. That's where I agree. I mean, I think there was improvement on that side of the ball, but yeah, there was an opponent factor that was into a lot of those games. So, I mean, I think it was better. I don't think it was as good as everyone thinks it was, based especially when they had to get to some top-tier opponents. But it'll be interesting. I agree with you. I mean, I think these coaches, they all have to say that you have to believe that because and I think Macdonald said it to you. If you don't believe it, then what's the point? What's the point going into a season? Like, oh, I think we're going to lose. Let me look at the schedule. Yeah, I think we'll lose that one, this one. Yeah, by that one. But I think we'll win it here. But
I mean, realistically, guys probably do that, go in like, yeah, this one's going to be tough. We got to go at this team. Or, they know which games are going to be real battles. And, and maybe the veteran coaches know, no, we can lose to anybody on any given day. So they're kind of prepared for that. But I do think it's not just coach speaking that, like, we've heard some teams talk about how, like a coach would get asked that and say, yeah, we're building something here, like we're just taking it a day at a time. Like there is the diplomatic coach speak answer that isn't just, yes, we expect to win the Super Bowl. I don't know him, but I would imagine if you were to ask Brian Callahan, the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, like right now, like what are your expectations for 2025? He's probably not going to be as definitive. Maybe he has been asked that and I'm wrong, but I would imagine he would say something like, look, man, we're taking this day at a time. First, we need to take the draft, and we need to build a foundation, build our, he'd probably say one of those coachy answers. So it's not always for every coach just, yeah, of course you want to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. That's why I'm with you. I believe Mike, because there are other ways I've heard coaches answer that when it's not just an obvious, yes, that's our expectation.
Yep. All right, Mike, appreciate it as always. Thanks for always doing it. We'll continue to have you on throughout the NFL draft, which is almost here, just 3 weeks away. Appreciate it as always. Thank you for moving your schedule around with your family, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, I've been watching my daughter here on the monitor. She's grabbed the camera here, so this is perfect timing. So, all right, I'll see you, Puck. Go Cougs.
Right, go Cougs. There he is, Michael-Shawn Dugar, daddy duty right now, so we appreciate him jumping on. I know what that's like when you got the young one there at home. Mike's weekly appearance brought to you by Georgetown's new Tavern Beer. Big thanks. You can see it over my shoulder if you're watching the stream there with the little tap handle back there. Georgetown Tavern Beer, easy drinking domestic-style lager made, kiddos, with Pacific Northwest barley and Yakima Valley hops. God, that sounds so good. 4.2% brewed by our good friends at Georgetown Brewery, makers of Manny's Pale Ale and Bodhisattva IPA, and, of course, a Rogers Pilsner. And, again, let me just repeat. It's an easy drinking domestic-style lager that's actually made in the state of Washington. You know, that used to be a case with one of them, but no longer. But now we do have one. Easy drinking, domestic-style lager, Georgetown's Tavern Beer. Go check it out at your local bar or go to georgetownbrewery.com. Find it there as well and visit georgetownbeer.com. All right, our weekly visit with Brad Adam. It's brought to you by John Howie Steak as we transition back over to a little bit of baseball. Caught up with Brad early this morning. He's headed out on a flight. Right now is in the air as the Mariners are heading down to San Francisco. So this son of a gun made me get up bright and early. The sun wasn't even up yet to tape with him to talk about so far the first week of the season, his trip to San Francisco, all things baseball with Brad Adam, Root Sports, brought to you by John Howie Steak, also whiskey by John Howie, and we'll get a word from him right before we hear from Brad. Boy, you're up early.
Oh,
Jeez.
I have to be.
God, early flight for Brad Adams.
Pack. Yeah.
Making me get up early.
Yeah.
Getaway day.
Exciting. Big 3-gamer. How about that? We kind of ease into the road trips this year, Puck.
But you're going to a great city. I don't care what people say about it. It's a great city.
It is fun. I like it. And the ballpark's great.
The ballpark.
It's great. It's going to be the Giants' opening day tomorrow, day game. It's going to be fun.
Is it really there? They haven't been at home?
No. 1:30. Right on Root Sports on Friday. Night game Saturday, day game Sunday.
It is one of my favorite ballparks.
I forget the name of it now.
It's been
what's the corporate
Bell? Is it
sponsor?
Oracle?
AT&T.
No, not Oracle. What is it? AT&T? Yeah. My favorite part is if you go out in center field.
Yeah.
Have you walked around the park?
The Concourse, yeah. Right.
So you go out center with the Ghirardelli, the Ghirardelli Sunday stand.
Yeah, that's not cheap though.
Freaking fun. I don't care. Phenomenal. And then right next to it is the little wiffle ball field.
Oh, yes.
Phenomenal. And then behind that is the Crab Shack sandwich that is just phenomenal. And then you get that Crab Shack sandwich and you walk behind that and then just the view of the water.
Right.
And
then the right field, you got
beautiful.
The splashdown home runs and stuff.
If you
It'll
have
be fun.
a chance, you have some time for a lunch, a power broker lunch.
Sure.
I want you to go to a place called Tadich's.
Tadich's.
It's in the business district of San Francisco.
Okay.
Oh, do you
lunch,
like Cioppino?
Not a dinner?
It's like a working man's lunch where you go to have something. You go for lunch, but it's a power lunch, so you're having like 4 martinis.
Yep.
Yeah. It's one of those.
Tadich's. All right.
Yeah, and they're all dressed in white, like the old white, like server uniforms on.
Right.
Everyone's in suit and ties. Do you like Cioppino?
Cioppino,
it's like a seafood
Italian
soup.
Oh, yeah. It's like the red
stew,
soup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
Now, I can't see you there in a tie, Puck.
Well, no. When I was there, wasn't. Okay. I'm just saying the people that I was not, and have never been in a tie there. I'm just saying
chowder.
that's
That'd
the people that go there.
Gotcha.
They're in ties. I think I was in flip flops and shorts. So
They let you in?
Yeah, for some reason they let me in. Well, here he is. It's Brad Adam, his weekly appearance. Of course, from Root Sports, on brought to you by John Howie Steak, voted #1 restaurant in Seattle by readers of Seattle Magazine. Classic Steakhouse with the best selection of hand-cut steaks from USDA Prime to Japanese A5 Wagyu. Fresh local seafood, poultry, forage mushrooms. That's what Brad likes to do in his off days.
Yes.
Is go foraging
mushrooms I eat. Yeah.
Mushrooms, yeah. Well, now, not back in the day. And, of course, farm fresh vegetables. Also, Whiskey by John Howie features global selections of rare and well-done whiskeys with something for everyone, from the curious to the connoisseur. Whiskey boasts a collection of hundreds of bottles from around the world. Well, we're a weekend.
Sounds good.
Thoughts? More whiskey?
More whiskey. I thought the game yesterday, we talked about it in the post game.
Knew it was going to happen. Knew it.
If they could get 3 runs off Skubal, they had a chance, and they got exactly 3, and they were able to win. But what Aaron Goldsmith said it on the broadcast too. Like, that felt like a big game. It's game 7, which you wouldn't think is a big game. Certainly early April. But I tell you, man, if they lose that one, it's 2-5. It's a sweep.
Yeah.
You face 2 more Cy Young pitchers in Verlander and Ray in San Francisco. The offense is still not producing anything. So, that was a big one to get to 3 and 4 on the homestand. That was a big one, and avoid a sweep there. It's a Mariner win, right? Just barely enough offense, and they hang on, and Munoz made it fun.
Yeah, sure did. I was there. I did. I had. You'll love this.
Wait a second.
Yeah, I was there. But I was. I took my wife on a little getaway date.
Okay.
I had a friend who had tickets, and he said, "Do you want them?" I said, "Well, sure." And guess where they're at?
And you didn't come by.
No, I didn't. We're late getting in there. First time ever sitting in Diamond Club.
No.
I'm going to tell you right now.
I do excuse you.
Hey,
for
folks.
Not coming I would not leave the Diamond Club.
I'm telling you right now.
The best.
Only way to go.
You got free Diamond Club tickets?
Free Diamond Club.
And
how
you
about
were
this
late?
Lucky son of a... Well, late, like 5 minutes late. Like,
Dude, you
5
need to
minutes
be
late,
like
not
2
to the
hours
game. I know.
early and just start.
The guy comes around. Ramon. Well, have you been here before? No, I haven't been here, Ramon. Well, let me tell you what you got. First of all, it's a buffet. You go get whatever you want. Over there's a candy wall.
Yes.
Get whatever you want there. Over there's a
Ice
place
cream?
where ice cream and milkshakes, and we got a Trident Blue milkshake today. Yeah, sure. And he goes, you keep deciding for what you want there for food. I'm going to grab you drinks. What do you want? I would suggest a Cadillac Margarita. I said, Ramon, yeah, let's take one of those. Why not? And
that's fantastic.
Unbelievable. Like,
so you
I
did
don't know
all
how
that
people,
for free.
For
you're
free.
How was getting up this morning?
Rough, full, bloated,
right,
bloated.
So you're like, it's like the only time where you don't like the pitch clock, you don't like fast games.
You know what's funny? My wife said that.
Stop it.
My wife said we're sitting there, and it's like 4 rows. First, and we're like 4 rows behind home plate. And it's just dumb.
That's fantastic.
She goes, you know what? This would be even better if it was the old baseball rules. I said, you know what?
You're 3.5 hours just sitting.
And this is how spoiled she got. This is how fucking spoiled she got. So we're sitting there.
He's great.
We're sitting there, and you've been. If you have the little QR codes on your seat where you click.
To be honest, have you
never been there?
This? No.
So there's a QR code on your seat where you click it, and there's the menu, and then you can order from there, and they just bring everything
the phone
to you.
It comes to you.
Yeah,
hold on.
It's so lazy.
Well, true, but like food too, because you got the buffet.
Yes. Oh, no more food. More food.
So you order. It's just different food. It's like.
It's just different food.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can get like
baseball. It's like pretzels, stuff like that, or nachos.
A little bit more baseball food.
Okay. That's
but like Philly cheesesteak, Beecher's mac and cheese.
So you go from the buffet to your seat
to more
food and drinks.
Yeah, and so she's ordering Cadillac margaritas, blah blah blah, and she's like, and you can order like hand warmers and blankets. I mean, it's so stupid. It's so over the top.
Come on.
And then she's like, like sixth inning, she's like, she wanted some more popcorn. She's looking on the thing. She goes, they don't deliver the popcorn. I'm like, it's like right over there. We could actually get out of our seats and walk over there.
You have all that food and she wants popcorn?
She's a simple woman.
Come on.
What do I tell you? But
that's fantastic. Good for you. Okay. I totally forgive you. I would not come see me either.
I would stay what a racket that thing is, man. What a racket.
And then like stop serving in the 7th, right? They just keep it going?
No, they shut it into the 7th.
Food and alcohol?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you gotta
still. That's great though.
Anyways, I got off the beaten path. I was good, but let's bring it back to the game for a second. It was a great game, but that's what? That's how they're gonna play. Where everyone's been discouraged how they've been playing.
That's it.
I'm like, yeah, I am too, but this is it. I mean, they're gonna every game is gonna be this 3-2, win or lose.
Right. 2-1, 3-2, 4-1, like they lost.
Yeah.
The second game, they did not make plays. The Tigers made enough to win.
Right.
Yesterday, the Mariners made the plays. Like Dylan Moore made some nice plays at third, hits a home run. Like, wow.
Oppo.
That's got to be like his career highlight right there. And they made the play. And, Colt Keith, the play in the second inning.
The second inning, the second baseman.
I mean, that was it. That was
it. That opened the door. That got 2 runs, where his little gaff of.
That was it. Yeah, forgetting how many outs there were.
But a good job of hustling. Was it Dylan Moore going down to second, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
but J.P. Crawford, you're right. J.P. Crawford hustling to first, beats it out, and then Robles with the double. So you're right. It's such a small margin of error for them.
Fine line.
Fine line. And Castillo gives up 2 and 7. Great start. Just barely enough to win, So
living on the edges, despite that horrific umpire behind home plate, who was god awful.
Yes.
Just
you had a great view.
Unbelievable.
Well.
Like I'm just watching Garver's glove not moving. The guy's like, "That's a ball."
That's a ball.
Okay.
And I tell you who I love. Munoz with 3 saves in all of their wins, and he got it done. He was entertaining,
shaky.
But I tell you, Gabe Spire has been the best out of the pen so far. I mean, he is untouchable, unhittable so far.
Well, what was his? It
was great.
First 6 or 7 pitches, all strikes, I believe.
Yeah, he just comes at you. I think he led the league last year in first pitch strikes. But we talked about it in spring how different it was, how he's healthy through the offseason. He's got the velo back, and he had it early, and he's looking really good. And great news, Troy Taylor's here. You've got Matt Brash getting closer. I mean, we're looking definitely a couple of weeks, definitely by the end of April, those 2 guys.
Yeah. What are their plans? Let's say they got Miller, Miller goes on Friday, and then it's Wu on Saturday.
And then TBD Sunday.
So what are the plans? Yeah, do we know what the plans are going to be?
No.
Should I know this already?
No. They've got Jonathan Diaz up, who could make that start. There is an off day. Obviously today we're flying to San Francisco, so they could stay in rotation. And then in that case, it would be Logan, right?
Is that who?
Wait. There's a. No, now I'm doing
this
all
is like
math.
doing math on the air. It's never good.
No, it would. It could be Logan, right? Because he pitched Tuesday, so it could be
Give
Logan.
me a second. I'm going to do it for you. I'll do the homework for you.
Could be Logan. Or it could be Jonathan Diaz.
Yeah, I think Tuesday, because Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday will be his 5th day.
Yeah. So it could do that. It could be Diaz. It could be somebody they bring up. There's options, and I think it might depend on how the first 2 games go.
Sure.
So, and they've got another off day on the 10th. I think that's part of the reason why they sent Emerson Hancock down, because they didn't necessarily need a starter for a couple of turns because of the off days, and Diaz gives them length out of the pen, and they want to keep Emerson a starter, so that's part of the reason they sent him down. That'll be interesting to see what happens on Sunday for sure.
But I'm glad just to recap the game on Wednesday. One, Jim and I were talking about that this would be the game they'd win.
Right.
That they beat Skubal, because it's like they can't beat anybody else, but they'll beat that guy. And they just took advantage. They took advantage of a misplay at second base, and then I thought the trouble that Munoz got in late in the game it was. I mean, I'm saying it was a routine play, but it was still, major leaguer makes it. But Dylan Moore's play to go home, and obviously it was a great play and a good job by Garver to hold on to the ball. That collision there that at home plate, and they get it out, and they just weathered a real bumpy start there for Munoz, who could not locate a slider. It was all over the place.
Right.
But yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. It was a much needed win. Hopefully, this can kind of springboard them a little bit. But again, it's just gonna. Nothing I don't think will change the style of how they win games or lose games. And that's kind of been the theme of what we've been kind of talking about here.
And we've seen it for years.
Yeah.
Right. There's just kind of games that they play. And the good news is because they're so accustomed to it, they're so comfortable playing these games, they tend to, make the right plays at the end like we saw today. It doesn't happen every game, obviously, but, it's just the Mariners' way of late, and it's certainly incredibly early with just 7 games in, but the offense looks like it's going to be
but
what
it feels
is,
like
right?
that. But it's one of those things where, and I think there's some truth to it's early because I understand the sentiment. It's an early, of course it's early. It's a 162 game season, but it's the carryover from what we've seen for the last few years. That hasn't been able to get better. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, these first 7 games, had they been losing games, but let's say it's, I don't know, 7-6,
right?
7. There's more life to the offense where guys weren't striking out as much, and I just think there's just still this common theme to how they're losing games. Right? They're striking out a bunch still, and
right. It's the same thing that we've seen, and their decision, to pretty much run it back from last year.
Sure.
I think that's what fans are kind of looking at, saying, wow, okay, this is what we're doing again, I guess, right? And Jorge Polanco has got off to a nice start, and he's missed the last couple of games.
Yeah.
Congrats to him. They get have his wife's having another child, which is
beautiful.
Awesome. But good to see him.
Wouldn't you
get
like
off to
another
a nice
one,
start.
another girl?
No, it was funny. We had our doctor. It was funny. We talked about that, and she said, "Now, if you want a 4th, you're going to have twin girls.
We can try, but it's
Can I get a boy?" She's like, "Absolutely not. You're going to have twin girls."
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm out. Thank you. Make my appointment. Dr. Snip, let's do this." Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
Be done with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just be done with it.
Hey, 3's great. It's enough.
3 is great. You have signed up, and it is over. For you. How amped up do you think tight pants Robbie Ray's going to be on Saturday?
I thought Skubal had some pretty tight pants. What was your kind of view?
Kind of had a tight jersey.
He's kind of a bigger.
He looked
guy.
like he had let the Cy Young and he put on a few.
Enjoyed himself.
He
right?
enjoyed his few of the Cy Young. I'm telling you.
Now he's 0-2 and not pitching nearly as well. It's like
he had a couple of pops in him, and
right.
He looked a little bigger.
Tight pants Robbie on Saturday. Yeah, Verlander and then Robbie. I think he'll have some things to prove to the Mariners.
Sure.
I think he's well aware that the trade was, a salary dump by the Mariners, and so, we'll see. It'll be interesting.
A lot of grunting.
A lot of grunting, and I'll be in that camera well, by the dugouts. I'll be able to hear that.
So you're gonna get it all.
I'm gonna get it all.
Yeah.
The tight pants, the grunts,
just everything.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
just everything they could possibly do. I love it.
It'll be interesting, though. Good to get away, I think, for these guys. And
sure. Play in a similar environment where it's cold.
Yeah, tough, really tough park to hit in.
Yeah,
good team. But they got off to a nice start.
Yeah.
Giants did, but it'll be nice. A lot of times you get on the road and things are a little less chaotic.
You think they need that?
Oh, after. Yeah, I think so. I mean, a lot of families were in town. A lot of parents flew in for this 7-game homestand. A lot of, tickets, a lot of demands, this, that, which is great. And they love it too. But just to get away from distractions, and just play ball, I think they can certainly help. And then they're right back home. It's just 3 games, and you got Houston, Texas.
Right.
And Houston's, certainly not what they were. Texas is off to a nice start, but I still question their pitching. Yeah. Even though they had back-to-back shutouts. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but we'll see. We'll see with them.
It was a good sign, at least on the finale against Detroit, to see at least Ryan Bliss get a good hit. That's something that you saw there in spring training. It was those nice little blister shots right up the middle. Good to see him get one of those. And because, that bottom, I mean, they all need to start hitting, but the bottom of that group needs to get going. Bliss and JP in particular.
Yes, and JP got the gift single, which was nice. So they're both, maybe at 100 now. But you're right. I mean, Rowdy, Tellez hasn't really hit. Rayleigh hasn't hit. So Solano hasn't got a hit yet. So after the top, 4 or 5, it's been pretty bare. And you're right. That's hard to sustain any rallies, any momentum, any kind of big numbers when guys just aren't, last 5 guys aren't producing. And that's, pitchers can know that, obviously. And they say, well, why would I pitch to Julio or Cal? I'll just pitch to these other guys.
You don't have to.
That's why I think, Julio's done a nice job of taking his walks. Cal's been on base now. It's 20 straight games, I think. He's been on base.
Yeah.
Walks as well. So, they're still leading the league in walks, which is a great sign. If they could just couple that with some hits, some timely hits, which we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Runners in scoring position, they just have not produced yet.
There was a stat that I read yesterday morning or yesterday with Divish. And
Div, hey, peace out to Div.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, Divish.
Hey,
thank God you're gone.
Is he still doing the show with you, I hope?
He's still going to come on.
Good.
Still going to come on once a week.
I'll be able to see him. I'll miss him.
Yeah. But we're going to miss, you're going to miss seeing him on the road, at home. You're going to miss reading him. I'm trying to think, though. I'm sorry. They did have a runner on second base today with the hit. But going into the finale against Detroit, they were, I think, the second worst in baseball.
Oh, yeah, the offense was second worst. Yeah,
5 at-bats total with a runner at second base.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. I mean, that's
tough.
And then they're bottom in every statistical category, which again, it's, you don't need to me or anybody else rattle off the stats. Sure. You can kind of just watch and see it for yourself. So,
but again, very small sample. But you're right, because we've seen it. It gets amplified, right? The fans get into it and they're like, this is, what we're doing again. But, I think it'll hopefully look different. But again, like we've talked about, just be prepared for a lot of games like today.
Yeah.
And Munoz, hopefully, right?
Well, but there is, and some of that issue is, and why you need the Troy Taylor, Matt Brash, it's great to see what Spire is doing, is that you can tax your bullpen pretty quickly.
Right.
By playing this way all the time.
Yeah. And they got behind the 8 ball, obviously, the first game against the Tigers with Emerson going, just 2/3 of an inning.
Sure.
But you're right. Yeah. I mean, and Santos has done a nice job too. So
nice job. He's a great job. I mean, it's like
and allowed to run either. So those guys, and then
they get all those guys back at Brad. I mean,
that's
a pretty filthy bullpen.
Right? Yeah, getting it to Munoz. And that's been the problem certainly last year too. And the pen just couldn't get the 7th and 8th inning. That's why you see Munoz getting those 4 and 5 out saves. I don't know if we'll see much of him in the 8th inning this year, especially if you get those guys back like we talked about. So I think that helps him. I think that keeps him healthier. And I think that there's no reason why the way they play, Munoz can't get 30 to 35 saves. Career high 22 last year. You're like, man.
Yeah,
you're going to get more than that this year.
Did anyone catch up with Garver after the game?
Not to my knowledge.
Oh man,
what's up? You talking about that collision?
Oh,
at the plate, which was just a force out, right? And Keith is coming in.
Well, it's just fucking stupid.
Like, what are you doing?
It's just stupid.
Yeah, just and then Garver kind of, if you look,
he pushed it. Yeah, he pushed his
elbow to
bit
the
in his
throat,
face.
Kinda.
Oh
yeah, like here
and
you go.
He said
dude.
something to him on the. That's what you can see this stuff, Brad, when you sit in Diamond Club 4 rows up.
I'm like, way up behind you in that little mini press box, which I can only see half the field.
I was having one of these corn dogs that were like dipped in cheese and then rolled in Takis
dust. Oh,
Takis dust.
Really?
Taki dust. Yeah.
I do one.
It was so not great.
Really? Because I do one corn dog a year. The best corn dog I've ever had is at Disneyland.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I know.
So when we go, we all just hunker down. And we always get.
I love
6.
a corn dog.
We get 6. There's 5 of us. But
you only do one a year.
A little more.
That's discipline.
Well, but like the opportunity, right? I'm not in the Diamond Club. Where else?
Well, that's
true. Decent corn dog.
Do you ever go to
the county fair or something?
Puyallup Fair maybe has one.
Do that.
Yeah, I do like a good corn dog though.
Right?
God, it's good.
Gluten-free. You feel good eating it. It's healthy.
I guess it is gluten-free.
Yeah, it's just cornmeal and
now that
fried.
I think about it, yeah.
And a hot
Yeah,
dog
Garver
with-
had a little
what's in
extra
that?
juice on the little push, and he had something to say for him. Yeah,
I'll
that was a
find out
bush league
there.
play.
It was. Like, what are you doing, dude?
You're
You're
gonna
out.
hurt somebody.
Yeah, I think he's still just so mad that he blew the game in the second inning. And Keith is coming in hot,
Probably.
like, God dang it. Yeah.
Probably.
Do something to make up for it, but no chance.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Well, short and sweet little visit with you. I mean, all in all, it's we're a weekend. There's been a lot of, kind of the same old stuff, but again, hopefully they can weather through this a little bit, and their pitching is always going to just keep them in all these games. It's
right.
Just, every day.
Fun to watch.
It's just so damn good. Even when it's a little off, it's still damn good. So
you're right, because Miller lost. He gave up 3. Castillo lost his previous start. He gave up 2. We're like, oh, geez, he gave up 3 runs. Like, we're so spoiled, right?
Of course we are.
Yeah, it's just great to see, and they'll figure something out rotation wise. It'll be interesting Sunday. We'll be able to talk about it next week.
Yes, we will.
To it. And my trip and what's the name of the place again?
I'll send it. Tadich's. You're
not
gonna love
dinner though. Could I do a dinner?
You could.
I might have a dinner.
Hold on. Let me give me a second.
I've got 2-day games, so that's Saturday. I guess I could do it if they're open Saturday.
You could maybe do it. Give me a second.
I'm just going to order a corn dog.
Jesus. Yeah. You do it. Hold on. I'm
Seafood?
spelling it wrong.
I just like a corn dog.
How do you spell the damn thing? Tadich's. Oh, hold on. I'm just not spelling it correctly.
Text me later.
I'm going to text it to you later when I can actually figure out how to. No, I don't want tacos.
Although
I do love tacos.
We do love tacos. Could you eat Mexican every day?
Yes.
Yeah. Mexican food. That's my.
Easy.
I agree with you.
Easy.
Rice, tacos, enchilada, every day.
Just anything.
I could probably eat tacos every day.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And a breakfast burrito.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll find it.
Men. Okay.
I'm going to find it, and I'm going to send it to you. All right, Brad Adams,
awesome.
Weekly Visit brought to you by John Howie's Steak, again, voted #1 restaurant in Seattle by the readers of Seattle Magazine. It's known for having the best whiskey selection on the east side, more private selections, and the award spirits from John Howie's Wildwood Spirit Co. Again, classic steakhouse, best selection of hand-cut steaks, USDA Prime, Japanese A5, Wagyu, and, of course, also brought to you by Whiskey by John Howie. Whiskey offers a chef-driven menu with fun, elevated bar food and signature items from John Howie's Steak, shareable plates for me and Brad, and unique creations perfect for pairing with cocktails or rare pours. All right, enjoy San Francisco, and we'll talk next week. Thanks, Brad.
Sounds good. Thank you, buddy.
We did a lot of food on that show that I was thinking about. We start off with food, and we ended with food. There was a lot of food talk on that one. Well, listen, when the Mariners are off to the start that they're off and they barely squeeze out and avoid the sweep, these are the things that we talk about. I will, though, recommend, if they've got that corn dog over there, I would veer away from the corn dog. It's a little too mushy over there. A corn dog's got to be crispy. It's got in out of the fryer. There's got to be a crunch to it. I do enjoy a good corn dog. I do, very much so. But that one was a little mushy. It wasn't the best one in the world. All right, that's a jam-packed show here for you today. It started off, we had Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network, Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic, all talking NFL draft. Mike Dugar more from a Seahawks perspective, Garafolo more from a national perspective with the draft about 3 weeks away. We will do another year. We'll do our NFL Draft live show. Hopefully we'll get Garafolo on, and we'll have some fun, interactive things going on for the first night of the NFL Draft. That was a long one. We did almost 4 hours of no commercials, and I don't think I went to the bathroom. I was like Cory Booker up there on the Senate floor, but I did go 25 hours. But I did not go to the bathroom, I believe. That was rough. It got a little dicey there at the end for sure. But we will do something again in the first round of the NFL Draft, which is coming up here in about 3 weeks. Also, big thanks to Brad Adam. Again, there, Root Sports, all brought to you by John Howie's Steak. As we close out a Thursday edition here of the Daily Puck Drop, we wrap it up as always with Hey What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle, your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. It is locally owned and operated Make them your first call when those damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917, or visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Saw this earlier today, and it's just, I roll my eyes at it because I understand what this head football coach is saying, Kirby Smart at the University of Georgia. I roll my eyes because this is something that he and his assistant coaches have been able to do forever. And I roll my eyes at it because he's the latest coach to complain and moan about the NIL and about the lack of commitment from student athletes, and that they're being raised the wrong ways. And again, I think there's some truth. There's obviously some truth to it. But it's a system that has been set up in large part because of programs like Georgia. You know, the reason why guys like Kirby Smart and Nick Saban are upset and voicing their displeasure with the NIL is because they no longer can buy the best talent in college football. And they no longer can pay these players under the table, which they've been doing for years, under the table to secure their talent and then bury them on their roster. They can't do that anymore. So they're upset. They're upset that now everybody in college football can all kind of play by the same rules. Now, they can't all really play by the same rules because there are certain programs, and Georgia probably certainly fits into that, and Texas and Alabama and Ohio State that can outbid anybody in college football. But those rare athletes that they do lose to some of those other schools, they can't compete with it. And they lose maybe a backup player who they have invested in, and they need that player to be a good team, but they lose them to one of these other programs that can offer them more money. It is a terrible system. I don't think there's anyone that likes the system. I understand it, but I'm getting tiresome of these coaches continuing to complain about it. There is open free agency all the time with coaches who sit there and go into a kid's room, promise them they'll be there for 4 years, look him in the eye, look mom and dad in the eye and say, oh, I can't wait to coach your son in the fall. And then 1 month later is off taking another job. Or in Jake Dickert's case, he's recruiting kids on the recruiting trail, securing their commitments while he's the head coach at Washington State, knowing damn well he's about to take the Wake Forest job, and then takes those recruits to Wake Forest. So I'm just tired of these coaches in college football playing the victim. They are not the victim. Okay, this is the madness that they have created themselves. Hopefully there'll be some type of regulation at some point in this sport, but it doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like there's anyone that's willing to step up and allow regulation to take form. Hopefully one day it will be the case. But dear college coaches, stop bitching about it. Stop it. You are sitting there leaving left and right for new jobs, and you are the one that is going into the portal and grabbing and snatching these kids. And Chris Peterson did this crap that bothered me. Oh, when you make a commitment to the University of Washington, we consider that to be an honor, that you're honoring the verbal commitment. Yet Chris Peterson would then go and recruit somebody else's player all the time, even though they have verbally committed to another school. And Kirby Smart complaining about teams contacting his players and agents. But you're doing the same thing. You're doing the same thing to Missouri. Same thing to Florida State. You're mad now that you can't outbid everyone in today's college athletics. All right, that's Hey What the Puck. It's brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. Your restoration company lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Or visit them at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. All right. Coming up on tomorrow's show, by the way, we've got the go-to guy is back. Another edition of The Scout, Major League Baseball anonymous scout, 30-plus years at MLB. We'll stop on by, get his thoughts on the first week of the baseball season. No Chris Egan tomorrow. I believe Chris Egan is off on assignment or spring break. I don't know what it is. But no Egan tomorrow. He'll be back the following week. Big thanks to everybody for watching and listening to today's show. If you're up on YouTube, when you're there, please subscribe to the show. Thank you so much. Leave a comment. You can find the Daily Puck Drop up there as well. We also will separate Mike Garafolo. Also, the Daily Puck Drop up on your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts. And, of course, everything always up at pucksports.com. Big thanks to our sponsors. As always, Limback Lumber, thank you so much for always being a part of this. Hartley and Hartley Insurance, Zogs on Fox Island, Georgetown Brewery. Check out their new tavern beer, and John Howie Steak for your support with Brad Adam. And, of course, they're always here every single day, Restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Again, you can find everything up at pucksports.com. When you're there, top of the webpage will take you to the Pucks Posse, where you can sign up to be a member. And again, the overall support is everything that we do here at Puck Sports, all the content that we do, the continuation of that, $5 a month, or you can sign up and get a year discount. You can also go to the QR code on your screen if you're streaming the show, and it will take you there as well. I promise, by later today, we will have the Puck the Picker golf pool information up there. It is going to be a season-long golf contest, picking 2 golfers in every major, with the Masters starting next week. Then the PGA Championship in May, U.S. Open in June, Open Championship in July. It is pretty straightforward. Every major, you're going to pick 2 golfers. Lowest score, overall to par. That's how we determine who's winning. All right? Here's the catch, though. You got to pick 2 new golfers for every major. So keep in mind, 8 total golfers, and everyone's available. All the guys, even the live guys, if they're playing in the major, they're all available. But you cannot take them twice. Keep that in mind. No repeat picks. First place in the Puck the Picker Majors pool, 1-night stay, 2 rounds of golf at Gamble Sands Golf Resort. That's a twosome. Second place is a foursome at Fairwood Golf and Country Club. Third place is a foursome at Mill Creek Country Club. And fourth place, can't even believe this is the fourth place prize, a foursome at one of Troon's Seattle Premier Golf Courses. Plus, you can also get an hour of Top Tracer or range session at either Inner Bay, Jackson, or Bill Wright, formerly Jefferson Park Golf Course. All right, more information is going to be on the website today, how you sign up, the link to the website, and how you can follow along on the show standings and all that. So keep an eye out for that later today. I'll pump it up on social media when we finally have it a go, and it's a green light. All right, everybody enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We will, no Mariners game. We will talk to you tomorrow on a Friday fun edition of the Daily Puck Drop. Until then, as always, promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rob you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!